see if anybody's gonna join us live before I get to talking. Yeah, I got back from a full day today. I I had the opportunity to go to the probate court today, and we were supposed to have a hearing, but nobody showed up on the other side. So it's just me, my client, and the judge. And we had the opportunity to just sit down and chat because it was just the three of us, and we sat down and chatted for a while. Nobody showed up for the hearing, so we handled our business pretty quickly, and then went on to talk about some other things, and that's what I wanted to talk to y'all about today. Um, the question I'm asking is it time to sell grandma's house? And if you have known me for any period of time, you know that I have a strong, very high value for family property. I am an attorney who helps families to find solutions for their family's heirs property, whether that's grandma's house, granddaddy's house, great grandmama's farm, great granddaddy's farm, whoever, whatever property that you have that's family property. I'm always trying to help families to come up with solutions that are going to help them to really, like, I guess, create generational wealth. That's what I'm all about, creating generational wealth with that family property. So I do estate planning. I help people create trust. I help people create family LLCs. We file quiet title, partitions. We do whatever we have to do, probate cases, to help people to get clear title to their family land. And usually I'm trying to help families to keep the property in the family so they can be a source of generational wealth. But going back to that conversation that I had today with the judge and with my client, we were talking about how a lot of families hold on to that family property to their detriment. They are maintaining it, paying the taxes, keeping up with the property, maintaining the upkeep, repairing roofs and painting and landscaping, all that stuff. And it ends up being a source of a financial strain for the family after some time, where they are doing all this work to preserve the legacy that grandma left them, and it's really stressing people out. Like, they are going into their everyday resources that they need to support their own house, to support their own kids, to support their own goals, so that they can preserve grandma's land or granddaddy's house. And I think that's worthwhile, but to a point. I wouldn't want you to do that to the extent that it's harming you, that you're actually losing wealth because you're trying to maintain two households. Another thing we talked about today when I was sitting with the judge and with my client is how a lot of times we are, there might be family members who are in between. Somebody asked what I'm talking about. So I am talking about whether or not you should keep grandma's house. I was talking about how a lot of times when I work with families with heirs property, I'm trying to help them to keep their family property. I'm trying to help them to keep it in the family, preserve that family legacy, pass it on to different generations, and be a source of wealth for the family. But sometimes it comes to a point where it's just not worth it anymore. And I'm not gonna be one that jumps to that conclusion real fast. Like, for me, it's gonna be, hey y'all, hey, I'm so glad y'all here. How y'all doing? But yeah, for me, I'm a recommend that as a last resort. But it gotta be worthwhile for the family for me to encourage that. So I was talking with the probate court judge and with our client, and we were talking about how, especially for black families, but not just for black families, that family home, that family farm is often that place of stability. It's where no matter what life throws your way, you always got a place to come to. And if you talk to the elders, they're saying, I want to make sure that my children, my grandchildren, if anybody in the family ever need anything, I want to make sure that they always have a place to stay. If they fall on hard times, if they're in between jobs. I hope y'all can see me. I know I'm fading into the shadows over here. Let me try to get some light. But they want to make sure that the family always has a place to go. And that's great. The house may be paid for, but there are other expenses that come into it. And a lot of times people are not really thinking about that long term strategy. How are we going to pay the taxes? How are we going to maintain the property? If we allow family members who have found themselves in hard times to live here, are we going to make them pay rent? Are they going to have to contribute to the utilities? Are they going to have to keep the yard up, keep the grass cut? What are we going to require of the people who are living in this family property? What happens when someone dies? Do we have an estate plan in place? Does everybody who is inheriting an interest in this property have their own will, have their own trust? How do we keep this from becoming a mess where we can't even locate all of the people in the family who own part of this property? So these are the kind of things that I'm really trying to work with my clients on and make sure they're thinking about all these things. And sometimes it gets to that point where we can't maintain this property as a family house anymore. It might come a time where it's time to sell that property. And so when that time comes, how do we be strategic about making sure that that property goes in a way that makes the most sense for either our family or for the community where the property is located? How can we maximize the financial return we receive from it? Maybe selling the house is the best option. How can you make sure the house is in a condition that you're actually making good money from it? So those kind of things are the things that I'm wanting my clients to think about. What's going to be the best strategy for us in the long term? What's going to help create wealth and opportunities for our family in the long run? One thing about selling a property, you don't have to just sell it on the market. You could sell it to a family member. So let's say that you have a family of 10 people. You had grandma owned this house and she had four children. Those four children have now died, and now there's 10 cousins who own this property together. Maybe one of the cousins wants to have an investment property, or maybe one of the cousins wants to have a second home that they can purchase for their child who's needing a place to stay. They're off at college and they need a place to stay in that area. Who knows what the circumstance may be, but you may have a family member who might be a good person to buy this family house. Or if you get to that point where you don't have a family member who can buy that property, maybe it's time to sell it to someone outside the family. But you can still be choosy. You can look for someone who's going to care for that community in the same way that your family did. Someone who shares the community values. Perhaps there's someone who grew up in that same community and they may want to return to do good in the community, or they might be like an investor who is just looking for an opportunity to put a good family in a home to take care of it and allow it to be an asset to the community. But I don't want us holding on to properties past the point where it really makes sense. I don't want us holding properties to the point where we're losing it at a tax sale, where it's falling into disrepair and becoming blighted property. I don't want us to hold on to property to where we live in California and the house is in Macon, Georgia, and we got it boarded up and just hoping that somebody is not going to break into it. I want us to get past that point. So sometimes there's going to be a time where your family has to make tough decisions. It might be time to sell grandma's house. So let's be ahead of the curve and not be put in a position where you're forced to sell the house. Again, I was talking about this with our local probate court judge, one of our probate court judges here in this area. And she said that a lot of times she's in a position where she's telling families, look, you got to get this estate resolved. And if you don't resolve it yourselves, I'm going to have to actually, um, get the county administrator involved. And that happens sometimes. I've seen it happen in many of the courts that I practice in, many of the probate courts where there's no one in the family who's taking responsibility for the property. So now we have to involve the county administrator. So that takes the property out of the hands of the family, and it increases the likelihood that the family will not be able to benefit from this property financially. So it is really important that the family can come together and find a solution that's going to work for them so that they can make sure that whatever they do with this property is going to be the best fit for their family. So just wanted to come on here and throw out a few thoughts with this scenario of whether or not we should sell grandma's house. Like I said, a lot of times I am encouraging families to hold on to that family property. if it gets to a point where there's no one in the family who actually is going to take responsibility and maintain it in a way that benefits the family, or if there's, if there's, you get to the point where people are like, I don't want to keep bearing this burden of maintaining this property. And then I definitely don't want to pass this on to my children. There might come a time where the family decides it's time to sell it. And it still benefits the family because if you are proactively selling the property, then you get to make sure it's in good condition, that it is sold at a good rate, and you get to determine, in some cases, I'm just fading into the darkness. Gotta get out here. In some cases, you get to determine who actually you're selling the property to. So you get in the driver's seat with that. So I just wanted to share those insights. I'm hoping it'll be helpful to you all, and help families to think through these often difficult decisions. Because, like I said before, that family house is it's a place of belonging. It's a place of security, a place of stability. And in some families, it's the first time they had that place where everybody can come to and feel safe and secure. So selling the family house is not an easy decision, but it's one that sometimes families need to make. So if you're in this position where you're trying to figure out what to do with your family property, you don't know if you want to sell it or if you want to find ways to keep it in the family, my firm is here to help. We help families in Georgia with this all the time. We represent the entire state of Georgia. Well, I won't say we represent the entire state of Georgia, but we work with clients all over the state of Georgia. We practice in probate courts all over. And if we can be of assistance to you and your family in deciding what to do with grandma's house or granddaddy's house or grandma's farm or granddaddy's farm, let us know. Our information is in the description below. Y'all take care. Again, this is the attorney Veronica McClendon with McClendon Law and Consulting. And y'all have a wonderful one. Take care. Now, how do I stop this? Okay.